Hey guys, what's up? Hello. Hey Palmer, I just checked. I have you marked down for the first 3 reviews. I just need to double check that last one. So I'm sure you did it. I just got to check it and put it in. You can hear me. Hey, Leanne. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm just trying to finish all my work.
Yeah. Now, again, I opened up your Google Doc and it looked like you were kind of working on it. Were you still working on it?
Yeah, I mean, I almost have it done, but
That's fine.
done.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. It's like every day, like I get an email with DBQs and I try to keep up with them. So, and just when I get it caught up, 2 more pop up, which is fine. I mean, at least I have time to like read them and give you guys feedback. So I'm happy. So, Michael, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. We'll wait a little bit to see
Show them my quesadilla.
how many people get out of here, boy. Sorry. I know that's why I don't have a video on. So,
I want to see your quesadilla.
yeah, it just came out of the quesadilla maker. It's all fresh and good.
Quesadilla maker. Okay, Mr. MB.
We've had it forever, and I just, we never use it. So I like dusted it off, I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, since all my kids are home all the time and eating. I'm like, okay, why don't you just make yourself some dang quesadillas,
Nice.
So today I'm just going to talk about like all the information that came out yesterday. I don't know if you guys are getting emails. Again, I'm a little frustrated with College Board, as other teachers are too, because I keep like registering and keep saying, okay, I need to get emails, and I just don't seem to be getting any emails with updates from College Board. I get all my information from the Facebook group, which is nice because teachers are like, did you see this? I'm like, no, I didn't see that. So did you guys get emails yesterday? Okay.
I don't think.
I think so, but like
so, honestly, but I know I'm with.
Yeah. I think, again, I'm hoping most of you guys are getting them, but I'm just curious as if some of you guys are like me and you're just not getting the updates from College Board. So, which is, it doesn't matter as long as I get them and pass them on to you, you should be fine. They sent out, I thought it was a document, but it's actually basically like a PowerPoint, but it's like 51 slides. I don't know if you saw that, but it's like, here's the guide, 51 slides. I'm like, 51 slides? No one's going to look at that, but it's not bad. I went through it, and we'll probably go through most of it today just to go slide by slide. There is a video on YouTube to show you, what testing day looks like. There is a checklist that's very extensive to make sure you are ready on test day to take the test and everything is prepared. There is there's actually a demo so you can like practice going on and trying to take the test. And it said on the update, it said it'll be available May 4th. It is on now. I clicked the link and it worked, and I just like pretended like I was taking the test, and it kind of walked me through it. So I mean, overall, it seems like it's not that difficult, It's just that there are certain things that they want you guys to do, and it's going to, it'll definitely be to your advantage to look at all this stuff ahead of time. But so we'll talk about it today, and I'll share as much information as I can with everybody until test day to say, hey, make sure you look at this. Again, teachers have a lot of good questions and insight on the Facebook group that they're, bringing up certain situations about, possible cheating and things like that we'll talk about. But when you're not even, we're worried that it might look like you guys are trying to share information when you're actually not. And so we don't want students getting flagged by College Board for what they think is students sharing information with each other during the test when that is not the case. So again, there was some documents I shared already about, how to use your notes and stuff during the test. You can use Google Docs, but some of the people were saying because Google Docs has like a chat enabler that you can actually kind of chat, or, technically if you're sharing a Google Doc with other students and you guys are all chatting on the Google Doc about how to answer the DBQ, so, if College Board sees that would be cheating. That's you guys sharing information. So, some teachers are like, oh my God, I wouldn't use Google Doc if they assume that. I'm like, well, who knows? So in the future too, I think there are a lot of teachers are creating one pagers for each period. And so I may borrow those from those teachers and share them with you guys, because I think that would be helpful on test day, since you can use your notes. Instead of trying to go back and find all your Google Docs, that you filled out for a particular period using the crash course videos, that's still pretty tedious. So if I can get you guys PDFs of one pagers, and periodizations from the different periods, that would probably be more helpful. And so I will probably, have a folder soon with those resources so you guys can use those. Some teachers are like, I feel like students should be preparing those on their own. Sure, it'd be great if you guys all prepared that review material. You don't have time for that, I know that you're already doing lots of stuff for us and other teachers already. So I'm like, what, if, they're already reviewing, I'm just going to consolidate all that into a one pager that would be helpful. So I'll provide you guys with that too. But again, everyone's like, it should be a PDF, because if it's a Google Doc, they might think you're sharing. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I'll just, make sure you guys have PDFs of all that stuff. So I'm going to wait 4 more minutes before I lock this session. Anybody want to share anything? How you're doing? What's going on? Got a good joke or anything? No, not so much.
Not much happening around here, Mr. MB.
Yeah.
Do you guys watch Tiger King? It's such a good show.
Heck
Are you
no.
watching?
I am not watching Tiger King.
That show's a joke.
I watched, I think, the first 2 or 3 episodes, and they kind of got me sucked in, but then I got bored. I think the rest of my family continued to watch it, but I quit watching Tiger King. So I want to ask you guys, because I've kind of noticed this week's work, a lot of students have kind of dropped off, or it looks like it's getting harder to continue this. Are you guys feeling, the drain at this point, that it definitely is, it's getting more and more tedious to get through this stuff?
I don't know. I'm kind of in a pattern now, so it's pretty all right.
Yeah, I think, it's helpful. I've been talking to some students here and there that are struggling. I'm like, even my own children, I'm like, yeah, you got to set yourself up with a routine, because most of us often, we're creatures of routine. I am definitely a creature of routine. And when my routine gets thrown off, I am not happy, So I have set myself up. I'm like, I get up and I do this, then I do that, and I do this. I'm like, I know what my day is going to look like, basically. So I think that's helpful. And, like you said, setting a pattern, giving yourself time to do certain things at a certain time period might be helpful. But I know it's hard, and I can, the teachers, we've been talking to each other, and it's funny because I had a feeling with my regular government kids, my seniors, we were assigning work for this week. And I was like, maybe we should scale back just a bit, because I remember before spring break, we gave you guys 2 weeks worth of work. And then that third week, administration was like, don't give them anything new. Give them this week to make up those 2 weeks that they, are trying to get through. And I'm like, I bet we see the same kind of thing. And it felt like, after break, that first week, everybody pretty much was on top of it and got their stuff in. And now that we're, I'm looking for work from the second week, it's not as strong. I'm like, well, then maybe we should scale back a little bit and give them, a week to try to catch up. Unfortunately for us, and you guys know, since we're on a time crunch to get everything through the review and through our periods to the test, I can't really give you guys a break to catch up. But again, that's why I'm like, just do 4. Just do 4 reviews. Even if there's like 10 or 8 reviews, just you can maybe pick and choose, I don't know if not too many people did Andrew Jackson. I'm like, I feel like we know Andrew Jackson pretty good maybe, so you can maybe skip the Jackson video, or if you missed talking about Andrew Jackson, maybe you did that. So anybody else want to chime in real quick before I lock the session and then start talking? For real? No? Everybody else seems to be managing okay. All right. You guys are chatting with each other. That's good. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and lock the session. And I have a cat in my lap. I'm trying to get my cat out of my lap. All right, kitty. Lock it. Okay. So again, what I'm going to do is just, if you've looked at this, you may have some questions, but I'm going to take us through what College Board has shared with us. And so, I know I feel like with Michael yesterday, I was like, are you guys getting like 1,000 messages on Schoology from your teachers? Or is it not so bad? Yeah, I see shaking her head.
Yeah, I've been getting some emails.
I got one.
Really?
I got one yesterday. It wasn't like an exorbitant amount.
That's good. Because I feel like I try to limit how many times I contact you, but sometimes I'm like, oops, I forgot to tell you this. Oh, what about this? I'm like, if I send you guys, messages every day, you're going to stop looking at them,
Oh, I thought you meant College Board.
Oh, no. But you got a College Board contact yesterday?
I'm sorry?
You got an email from College Board yesterday?
I think so, or it was this morning, but
yeah. Good. Because that's what at the beginning I was talking about how some people seem to be getting those and some people are not getting those. And that's basically what I'm talking about today in our Zoom session, is that I uploaded 2 documents that one is the email and one is the guide. And so, if you go into your Schoology folder where it says, APUSH test review by week, again, I sent a message out this morning, kind of long, but I was trying to cover a bunch of things, so I didn't have to send you multiple messages. But I just said, hey, please go and look. There's some updates. These 2 things right here that say, please read me. This is important information about test day and how to prepare. And then mentioned a few other things about the 5 doc DBQs. I went yesterday, and because I had all the 7 doc DBQs in every single period just for practice, I went for the next 3 weeks, took them all out. I took all the 7 doc DBQs out because, this week I kept saying, the 7 doc DBQs are there for you to kind of peruse, but I want you to focus on the 5 doc DBQs now when you turn in your DBQ for the week. And some people were still doing the 7 doc DBQs, which is fine. That's still good practice and good review. But I know I sent a message to Freddie yesterday, and he responded this morning. We were talking. I'm like, to me, it really seems the 5 doc DBQ is more difficult. It is harder to do this with less docs because sometimes it's hard to figure out how to group them, and you get one doc, and you're like, I don't know where this goes, So I find myself struggling more with the 5 doc DBQs than I do with the 7. So that's why I'm like, please, let's just stick to the 5 doc DBQs because that's what we have to prepare ourselves for. And then starting next week, I really want to see as much of a full DBQ as I can get out of you guys and no more outlines because we really need to start practicing trying to get this written, and then really try to get it written within the 45-minute time frame, which even, again, a lot of teachers are like, this is hard to do. I'm like, I know. And so we'll practice. So I'm just going to walk you through these real quick. And if you have questions, you can, put it in the chat, or you can save it till the end and we'll discuss them. But this is the email that College Board sent out yesterday or this morning. And, if you haven't checked your emails, hopefully you got this. If you didn't, it's okay, because I put it in Schoology. So if you didn't get it, you have it now. So this is what they sent out. And again, it's nice because they did put a lot of hyperlinks in here to see what they were talking about. And we'll look at them real quick. Because again, I went through them this morning and I'm like, there's some things and I'm like, oh my gosh, they really need to pay attention to this. So I hope they see this. We'll look at the one video I think that's pretty helpful. It's like a 4.5-minute video that walks you through how the test works. And again, there are videos here that you can get from, and it says coming soon. Here's the demo on May 4th. Again, it's already up. I clicked the link to the demo and I tried it today a few hours ago, and it actually works. So, and I think very early on, I sent you guys a link to the YouTube channel with the review sessions where they do the live review, but I don't know how many of you guys are doing that. I have a feeling not too many, just because you're getting a lot of review already with the crash course. So that might be redundant. And so there's a lot of extra information for the AP World Language and Music Theory guys. They have to do a lot of crazy stuff. So we don't have to worry about that. So this is the email, again, that they sent out yesterday or this morning. And if you didn't get it, you can see it here. And I might just click on a few things just so we can look at them. All of this stuff is, I think, accessible in your My AP Classroom, and hopefully I'm pretty sure everybody has been there throughout the year when we were doing our practice checklists. I can't remember what they were called. Our checks. All this, you can still get any of this stuff from My AP Classroom, and that's where actually I accessed it this morning because I didn't get an email, I guess. So again, obviously you need your 8-character AP ID. And if you don't know what that is, if you're not getting emails, you should still be able to get that when you go to your My AP College Board or My AP Classroom. I think you can get it from there. Again, we've already talked about what the time and the date of the test is. It's on the calendar, but they want you to write this down, especially if you have multiple tests. You don't want to get them confused and totally miss it, go, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that today was the test day. So. And then I know this is pretty extensive checklist. I saw some teacher converted this to a Google Doc, so you could actually physically check it if you didn't want to print this out and check it off. But again, there's a lot of stuff here that they want to get you guys ready to take this test. And even though it seems like a lot and may seem silly to have to go through this checklist, it doesn't hurt. My device is plugged in. Well, again, if you're stressing about the test and you don't think about it and you're halfway through and your Chromebook or your device dies, that's going to disrupt what you do. And so this isn't a bad thing to go, oh, yeah, I got to make sure this thing is plugged in. So, I think this checklist is helpful. Some teachers were like, this is terrible, why should the kids have to do all this stuff? I'm like, because, this is new. It's new for them. It's new for everybody. And they're going to be nervous. And so, I think this is very helpful. So, if you want to print it out, you can, or I can honestly make a Google Doc or a Word doc. So before, during, test day, but right before you get into it, maybe an hour before, you can pull it out and just go through these things and make sure that you are good. Okay. So let me go back to here, and I'm not going to play the video for you, but I'm just going to show it to you real quick. And again, when I watched it, it was helpful. The first couple videos are not, this is a 51-second video that just says this year the exam's online and you get to take it and still get credit. So we don't need to watch that one, and this one neither. It's this one, the 4-minute and 38-second video that says exam walkthrough. This is helpful. I mean, I would definitely, it's less than 5 minutes, but I would watch that video, and I'm going to remind everybody to kind of watch that video before test day. Just, again, if you have questions or you're concerned or you're nervous, like, I don't even know what this looks like, this shows you kind of what it looks like, and it seems pretty simple. And the demo does the same thing. Again, I would definitely, I'm a planner, I like to run through something before I do it often. And so I would definitely, look at this and do the demos so you know what to expect on test day. And so again, there's these, like I said, I think these videos are kind of worthless. The experience video is the one that you want to look at. So, and we might be able to do that demo, or I can at least show you what it looks like. So, the next thing I want to do is just look at what they sent out. So this guide, and again, I know it's like, I thought it was, it's a PDF, but I thought it was pages, 51 pages. I'm like, what the heck is that? I'm not reading that, but it's just a PDF of basically like a Google slideshow. So this right here, your AP testing guide, looks huge, but it's not bad. Again, I went through all the slides this morning, and I'm like, okay, this is actually pretty helpful. So, so let me see if I can center this a little bit. And so, again, there are hyperlinks. Again, nice in this that if you need something, you can click on the hyperlinks and go right to it. And so the first thing it talks about is your e-ticket. You'll get your e-ticket for your test 2 days before the test. So it gives you time, like if something happens and it's like, 2 days, a day before the test and you still don't have it, I would contact College Board and say, I'm not sure what's going on here. I should have my e-ticket. Also, you should have been notified, I think already, which exams that you are taking and signed up for. I think College Board said they already sent that out, but it says, again, you can go to your My College Board, or maybe, I guess My College Board, but not My AP Classroom. If you go to My College Board and you log in, it should show you the exams that it has you signed up for. So make sure that you are definitely signed up for the exams that you're taking. So again, the nice thing is that everything, if you don't get an email, everything is still there at myapcollegeboard.org. So when you go to your student account, your e-ticket will be there with everything else. So just in case they don't send it to you, go there and see if it's there, okay? Obviously, don't share your e-ticket. It is yours. It's a one-time thing. But I do know, again, see where it says make sure to save your May e-ticket email in case you need to request a makeup exam. If something happens on May 15th, you can't take the test that day, just don't log in. As long as you don't use that ticket, you can just use your ticket for the June makeup date. So, I mean, and, they're saying take it, make sure you take it that day, and the makeup test day is saved for kids that have technical difficulties or something happens. But honestly, I mean, if May 15th rolls around and you feel like you are not prepared to take this exam, just don't take it. You can wait till the June exam date and do that. Again, I'm not encouraging people to do that really, because I think it's better just to get it taken care of. And you guys probably have other AP exams to knock out as well. So, I would definitely prefer you guys to take it on the first test date. But if there's, a reason why you simply just cannot take it on May 15th, then don't sweat it. You get a few more weeks to study, and prepare, and then you can just take it in June. I have it on the calendar. I forget the exact date. I want to say like June 6th or something, but that's D-Day. So, so again, this is what it talks about when your e-ticket is good for. Here it is. Here are the makeup test dates of our June 3rd. So U.S. history, the makeup date is Wednesday, June 3rd. So, and again, Eastern time, 12 p.m. I think I said this before too. The nice thing is that, this test goes live to everybody at the same time all over the world. And there are kids on, military bases across the world that have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to take their APUSH exam. And that is awful. I mean, I just can't imagine. So at at noon, hopefully you guys wake up at like 10, maybe, 11. You can sleep in a little bit, but that's not a terrible time to start taking your exam. So again, yeah, this just tells you when the test date is and the time. So make sure you're good on that. So this is interesting, and the teachers were talking about this last night about the scoring. The teachers are saying everybody should get a 3 this year, pretty much. You at least get a 3. So where it says it won't be more difficult to earn a 3, 4, 5 this year, they're saying College Board's even saying it's actually going to be easier. And there is a way, because there's a slide a little bit later that says, if you did not get a 3 and you feel like your exam and your DBQ was not scored correctly, you can contact your teacher, or me as a teacher. I can say, dude, I know this student. They write excellent DBQs. There's no way they got a 3. We can challenge it. And we can have College Board take a look at it and have somebody else score it again to make sure you get the credit that you deserve. I will say again, as an AP grader myself, I've done it for a few years with AP Gov. Graders do all they can to give you as many points as they can. We're not looking to hurt kids, and usually we're told, no, you're giving them too many points. So graders do their best to try to give you as much as they can allowable. But every once in a while, we're human and graders do make mistakes. And so the nice thing is that we can challenge scores. And again, it's very specifically said if you did not get a 3, you might want to challenge that. So, again, is there a curve? There's not a curve, but they do adjust the rubrics. And I know that too. What they'll do is they'll collect all your DBQs, and they'll, some of the expert graders and table leaders and stuff start looking at them and start grading them to see what you put. And then they start designing rubrics and things around that. And so they will adjust scores. I mean, there were years where some of the DBQs were very tough and the kids didn't do very well. So they had to readjust how they scored them. So this is a different format this year. They are aware of that. So if it looks like students are having a lot of difficulty with a 5-doc DBQ, they will adjust the scores across the board to help you guys get the most points. So, and again, here it says, don't worry if you don't complete all parts of the question, it's fine. Again, you always get partial credit, and it says you don't need to complete the entire question to get a score of 5, but you do need to submit whatever work you've done. So, make sure, and we'll look at that too, watch the timer. It turns red in the last 5 minutes, meaning, okay, now is the time to kind of stop and you need to start submitting your question, just in case it takes 4 minutes to do that. You got to take a picture of it and upload it, and things are going slow. You may copy and paste it and put it in there, but don't go too far into your 5-minute upload time, just in case, because, you get partial credit for whatever you submit. But if you don't submit anything, then unfortunately there's nothing to score. And so you don't want to lose out. Again, they do say if you're having technical difficulties and something happens while you're trying to submit, you can, petition College Board and say, hey, my computer died, or I lost my internet right when it was time to submit. And they'll review it and they can issue another e-ticket for the makeup date. So don't worry too much about things like that. I think they're going to be pretty lenient on making sure you guys can get your stuff in. Okay. We've already talked about, again, kind of what it looks like, but there are 3 ways to upload, which I think this is awesome. You could literally cut and paste a document if you're typing into a Google Doc or a Word doc, and just cut it, paste it, and submit it. You can attach the file, whatever type of file it is. Pretty much, I think it's like Word, Google Doc, maybe, what is it, like Open Text or something, that pretty much they'll accept, quite a few different things. Or you can attach a photo of your handwritten responses. And again, I know a lot of you guys, you're used to doing that. You're not used to typing up a DBQ. You're often used to just handwriting it out. You can still do that and take pictures of it and upload those too. But remember, again, those last 5 minutes, you've got 45 minutes to get this done. When your timer turns red and starts counting down for the last 5 minutes, you need to try and start getting that thing submitted. So, again, it talks quickly just about, the browsers that I think most of us use, either Chrome, Firefox, or Safari. I've never even heard of Edge. But, if you're operating, on something other than that, then you may not be able to get to your test, or you may have issues. So, again, this is easy. I'm not going to go over that because it just talks about how to cut and paste things into it. This tells you how to submit. You just search the file and attach it. Or again, you can take the picture of it and upload it as well. This is, you'll see this everywhere, but this is important. It says write your AP ID and initials and page numbers at the top of each page. You do the same thing when you type it. So when you're typing on a Google Doc, the first thing you do for your response is write your AP, the 8-digit AP ID number at the top, and your initials. You don't have to number the pages if you're typing it because they'll see it when you submit it. But if you're writing it and taking pictures and you have multiple pages, you definitely want to write the page numbers so they can see the order of the pages, just in case you upload them out of order. They'll know how to read them. So again, that's on the checklist too. It says, write your ID number at the top and make sure you have your initials there too.
And we get that ID 2 days before?
No, that's your e-ticket that you get 2 days before. Your ID number is the AP number that you've been assigned, that you've had probably for a while now. So
Okay.
So that's your individual AP number that I guess you use that to get into like My AP Classroom. So it is the ID number that they assign to you. So your e-ticket you get 2 days before you use to get into the test.
Mm-hmm.
The number at the top is your AP ID number that's been assigned to you for all your College Board stuff.
I'm so sorry. How do we find that? Like, is there a special place on College Board that says your ID number?
Yes, I think, if you go into your My College Board student site,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know what that looks like because I'm not a student. I know what mine looks like as a teacher. I can find, I wish I was looking for stuff the other day on the AP site. You can find your AP ID number probably under your profile, I think so. I
Okay.
can click on that if you're having trouble finding it. And other students might know. If you're not sure what that is, you should be able to find it. And I think it tells you too on some of the information here where to look for it. But if you go to your like my AP College Board here, let's see. This one right here. See, if I click it, I don't know what's gonna show for me. So, well, actually, it's not gonna show me anything. I guess that's not a link there. Anyway, I think if you go there, where you can find your e-ticket, you will find your ID number as well.
Okay.
Click on your name. So like at the top, once you go to College Board AP, I just found it. And so you go to profile, My AP profile, and then you go on to registration. And then it says it like below.
Cool. Thank you, Leanne. And again, that's why on this checklist, that's why it says like, make sure you have that number, before test day. So you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know where my number is. So you have everything in front of you. But again, if you're having trouble finding any of that stuff, just let me know and, we'll make sure you get to it and you can find it. So, okay, there's information about that. So, all right, so we just did that. Again, if you have accommodations like extra time and stuff, it's already added to your time. So you really don't have to do anything. Whatever accommodation you actually have for the test that day, you should be equipped with that. So you should be fine with that. Again, if something happens, here's how you can go to collegeboard.org, request makeup to get to take that makeup test. Again, I'm assuming like if you have technical difficulties, you probably have to prove that somehow, or they can figure that out. They're not going to maybe just take your word for it. Like, oh, I couldn't finish because something happened, just because you want to not take that exam and take the different one if you started it. But it says submit the form within 48 hours of your original exam date. So you have to like pretty much, if you have a problem, I would right away go right there and start, filling out the form to request a makeup time. So hopefully everything will be fine. It'll be fine that testing day. So, but you never know. Again, things happen. If there's an electrical storm or something and the power goes out, it could happen. So, they do have a backup plan for all that too. So like it says unexpected events may occur when testing at home. So they're doing everything they can to make sure that they work around that too. So before you take your exam, it says review your contact information. So you actually have to go fill that out. In the demo, it's just your name, an email address, whether you want your scores to be sent to colleges, just contact information so they know how to contact you. Check your tech. When you do the demo, it will do that. So if you're like practicing uploading and downloading things, again, I would definitely do the demo because it makes sure that your technology will work with what they're doing. Again, the demo does this too. You can practice submitting your response. The timer's there. You have to wait for the timer to count down to move on to the next thing, but it's not the full time. So I just went on, I did something else and then came back to it and watched the timer, clicked to 0 and moved to the next thing. Gather what you need for each exam. Again, there are some where it says AP exam day docs. This doesn't apply to us, but this is like periodic tables and tools and stuff for, I think, like math and science. We don't need any docs like that. However, what docs should you have for the exam? Any information like we talked about, I'll share with you, period docs, any review materials that you are welcome to use. And I strongly suggest having that stuff in front of you, that just if you need to glance at something to refresh your memory for some contextualization, or, if there's a doc and you're like, I'm not really sure, who this person was or what this date is, having, a little timeline in front of you or something with the period information on it would definitely be helpful. So, and again, we can do that where it's consolidated and easy for you guys to access. And so I'll make sure that you guys have that tool in your toolbox. And then lastly, again, receive your exam confirmation e-ticket emails 2 days before the exam. But if you don't see it, you can go to your My College Board account and it should be there. So, but again, if something's, if you're like, I don't see any information, let me know. And I can contact Ms. Crump too and say, hey, kids aren't seeing this or they're missing information. Okay. So again, everything goes right back to the website here, My AP College Board, where you fill out your contact information. Again, check your tech. You can use a tablet. You can use it. I don't know how you do it on a smartphone. I mean, but you guys you're used to looking at tiny little screens and texting with your thumbs. Some of you guys can probably knock out a DBQ somehow on a smartphone. I can't even do that. So even laptops bother me sometimes. So that's, you can choose whichever way you want to do it, but you can use that smartphone too to, take a picture of it if you're writing it out too. And you can have the prompt. That's what they suggest, obviously, that while you're writing it out, have your smartphone or your phone next to you so you can see that timer and you can see the prompt and you can always go back and make sure that you're answering the prompt. But the most important thing probably is that timer to keep an eye on. And again, have any other information available that you can use. I say definitely make sure you have that. So again, this is part of the demo where you can kind of test out typing things out and prepare. Again, if you are writing it, this is in the demo and it's also in, I think, the little video. It says, obviously, please make it legible. As an AP grader, I have sat at tables many times and just tried to figure out what the kid had written. I just can't decipher it. And I think I know what they're saying, but I'm not sure. And I'll pass the document around to 2 or 3 other graders and say, can you figure out what that is? If 2 or 3 of us can't figure out what it is, we simply can't score it. So we can't give you credit for it. So I know sometimes you write in a hurry and you write in a rush, but do the best you can to write as legible as possible. Again, if you feel like that might be a problem, then I would suggest try typing it then. If you're a slow typer, just kind of do the best you can. You could probably do talk to text. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have ever tried that, but that might not be a bad idea. If you do a text to speech or speech to text app, that I think all you guys have that in the Chromebook, you could kind of talk out your DBQ, have it put down, and then kind of clean it up. So that's a possibility. I mean, you may want to do that. So, and then it says if you're taking a picture of it, make sure it's well lit, and it's vertical and not horizontal, so they can make sure that the grader can zoom in and read everything that you write. So, again, handwriting, it says, make sure it's legible, and then it's well lit, and then number your pages and put your ID number and your initials at the top. You can use a pencil or black or blue ink, pretty much anything. Just, pink ink or, purple may not be the best because it may not photograph well. Whatever is dark enough for them to be able to read. So, again, I strongly suggest do the demo. Try it because it just shows you exactly what it looks like. So, again, this is stuff that we don't necessarily need to look at. There's nothing special for us. Again, I think this slide is very important, and I will keep talking about this. And so what you can and cannot use on the test day, because I don't want anybody caught thinking they could use a particular resource and College Board flags it and says you aren't supposed to be using that. So you can use, obviously, class notes or study guides, textbooks. I mean, if you want to use your phone or book, I don't think anybody's going to use the phone or book for this. But if you want to, I mean, honestly, use the glossary. If there's something, a document, like, oh my gosh, I don't remember who Marcus Garvey was. Look him up in the glossary, and you can probably quickly look up something about Marcus Garvey. So maybe keep your phone or book there just for inspiration, perhaps. I don't know. Any other previous assignment, if there's a question about, the Gilded Age and you still have your Janus figured, that might be helpful, anything like that. But see where it says note, where the hand is here, shared study notes must be downloaded to each student's device to prevent collaboration violations. This is what I was kind of alluding to earlier when the teachers were like, oh my gosh, if it's a Google Doc, right? And 4 or 5 of you guys, or, the whole class is on this particular Google Doc, live on that Google Doc, and you guys are typing in things and sharing information about the particular prompt that you have, if College Board sees that, that would be flagged as inappropriate and cheating, So if you have Google Docs, that we have shared, which I don't think we really do, but if you do have Google Docs that are shared, download them as Word docs or PDFs, and do not go on a shared doc with anybody because you don't want to risk it. So again, you can use the internet. Honestly, you could Google something, and you may have time to quickly Google a person or a document to get some contextualization, but you're really not going to have a lot of time. I mean, it says it'll waste your time and put you at risk on exam violations. They just keep saying, the further you go into the internet, the more dangerous it might be and time consuming for you. So for the most part, stay off the internet and rely on what you have in front of you. So again, there's your exam confirmation and e-ticket. So I guess it's May 4th. By May 4th, you'll receive a confirmation telling you which ones you are registered for and signed up for. And so you may want to double check that and make sure. If you're not getting them, I think I can see it, and I can at least contact Ms. Crump to see which exams you guys are all registered for, and I can let you know. So by May 4th, which is Monday, I think, Star Wars Day, let me know if you don't see anything, and I can get that information to you. So again, that huge checklist I showed you, I know it seems ridiculous kind of, but I'm like, in the end, though, that's not a bad idea to make sure all those things are covered before you get that test day, right? And then exam day, again, 30 minutes before, you should go in and start logging in. And I can tell they're using this whole 30-minute window to get everybody logged in before the test actually starts. So typically what you're going to do is 30 minutes before, you're going to log in and you're going to sit there and wait, get yourself a drink, get a snack or something. And there's a countdown timer to when the test starts. But once that timer hits the starting time, the test is live and it's on. So make sure you are there when it starts that test and it gets down to 0. So again, you got 45 minutes to answer that question and 5 minutes to submit that response. And again, watch the timer. The timer turns red in the last 5 minutes to make sure you understand it's pretty much time to wrap it up and start trying to get it submitted. So
for the regular exam that we would have taken
Mhm.
if it was a normal year, how long would we have to write a DBQ?
I forget. I want to say it's like 90 minutes. It's almost twice the amount of time. I mean, it's at least 60 minutes because it's divided because, you have to do the LEQ and the D. and you have to do the 3 short answer. I think the 3 short answer go with the multiple choice, and then the second half is the LEQ and DBQ. But it's at least an hour. It's at least an hour. So.
Like, I'm glad I don't have to do all that, but honestly, I do not know if I'm going to be able to do it in 45 minutes.
I know. I'm
afraid I'm going to get there and be like, I don't know what they're talking about, and write like 1 paragraph, and then that's going to be what I have to send in.
Well, so, starting next week, I'm going to try to, set some timers for you guys to see what it's like to write these things under pressure and try to get them in 45 minutes. And I know it, again, I've been trying, and I'm like, this is hard. This is really hard, and to try to get all that down on a piece of paper. Most of the teachers are like, if they just gave the kids 5 or 10 more minutes, why did it have to be 45 minutes? But I'm trying to think. I think that Trevor Packer, he's the bigwig at College Board that talks to all the teachers. He said that the 45-minute window had something to do with technology too, that the longer it went, it was harder to get things uploaded or something, but that seems weird.
Okay, Trevor.
Yeah, I mean, and teachers often don't really believe a lot of stuff Trevor says. We're doing a live web thing tonight. I think he's going on at 7 tonight, specifically for U.S. history. So I'm going to tune in tonight and see what he says, because he does. I mean, and teachers, they ask live questions, so teachers will stick it to him. They're like, well, what about this? Well, what about this? And sometimes they share these responses on the Facebook group. So, there are expert teachers out there that have very good questions for Trevor that he will answer them, but we're not always satisfied with the answer. But I don't understand why they can't just give you a few more minutes. 45 minutes just doesn't seem like enough time. And I remember I complained all year that they're like, oh, we want you to write and think like a historian. I'm like, historians take years to do this stuff, right? They do research. They don't like, okay, you got 60 minutes to, knock out this amazing historical essay. You can't do that, And so I do understand that you have to have a time test for this at some point, but I don't know. 45 minutes just seems, they're like, oh, it's only 5 documents. I'm like, but it's harder. It is harder because I think it's harder to group those, harder to see a pattern with 5, it's easier to see the patterns with 7. It's easy to find, to put them in a good supportive paradigm. It is definitely, but I'm hoping, all these practice ones that we're looking at, those are just teachers guessing and taking the 7 doc ones and knocking them down to 5. I'm hoping that the DBQ they choose to give you guys on May 15th, the documents are clear, that they're not trying to make it too difficult, that the documents you'll see very, obvious groupings of the docs. Because again, some of these, I forget, I was talking to a couple students, the one on expansion, the 5 doc DBQ on expansion, it was like, this should be easy because it's expansion. We know this. I'm like, yeah. And then I looked at it. I'm like, this is hard. These documents are all over the place. I'm like, 3 of them are all by themselves, it seems like. They can't group them into anything. So hopefully the prompt is not like that the documents, they understand that this is extenuating circumstances and it's 45 minutes. Again, I think I said this too. The reason they picked the DBQ is because colleges, I'm sure, said, if you just give them a multiple choice test, we're not taking that for credit. That doesn't show anything. That's just whether they know the information or not. By writing a DBQ, you can show off your historical thinking skills and your analytical skills, and if you can do a good job on that, that shows that you don't just know the content, that you know how to analyze a document and you know your periods of time and you can go further and compare and contrast things. I understand and I agree that the DBQ is probably the best way to make sure that colleges will give you credit for what you have done this year. And you've spent so much time already working on this, they just didn't want to throw it away. So I know College Board and Trevor, they're doing the best they can to maximize what we have done so far and to make sure you guys get credit for it. But still, I agree, Isabella. It's it is going to be very tough to get this down in 45 minutes. But remember, again, there's a guide there that I shared from another teacher, and I think she has like stages. She's like, do these things first because they're easy. Then try to add this thing, and then at the end, if you can get this thing, then go for that, right?
Where is that?
It is, I think, either the testing information or how to write a DBQ. I can pull it up
Okay.
quick. On Schoology. Oh, sorry. Let me clear my screen. On Schoology, if you go to our class, and there's two folders at the top under the review. I forget where I put it. It's either under how to DBQ or it's under testing information, but it might be under testing information. I'm thinking it might be this one. No, it's the other one. All right, so under how to DBQ, this teacher shared a really good document. And again, I'll keep sharing this stuff too. This is it, the practice guide. She, says kind of do it in stages to maximize your time and maximize your points. And so here, this one, yeah. So remember, again, we're on a 10-point rubric this year instead of a 5-point rubric. And so, these are the things that are typically the easiest to get your points, your thesis, using your documents, using enough documents, providing 2 pieces of outside information this year instead of 1, just analyzing 1 document, give point of view and, historical context and intended audience for 1 document. You can get 6 out of 10 points for that. That's good. That's really good, so that's a great start. If you're, crunched for time, the other things is, okay, analyze another document and then, go into contextualization. Some of you guys you get contextualization, you can get it right away. You can do that. Others are still kind of struggling with that. Again, put that on the back burner. And then lastly, using the most amount of documents. And again, I know it says 4 and we always say do 5. Use all 5 documents in case you use one wrong. And then the unicorn point, the complex understanding, which is often the most difficult point to get. I would always save that for last. But again, I keep stressing this, and some students are paying attention to me, some are not. I'm like, your thesis statement, if you write, although X, comma, Y, because of A and B, you are setting yourself up for that complex understanding point because you're showing 2 different sides of the argument, whether it's change in continuity over time, whether it's similar or different, whether it's cause and effect. By that complex understanding, they say you have to modify the argument. You're not just giving the one side. You're not just talking about the changes. You're going to say, but this actually stayed the same at the same time too. That's complex understanding. And if you use documents to support that, or if you use outside information to support that, you get that complex understanding point. And that is the hardest point to get. But the whole time, all year when I say use the formula, it's like the secret Krabby Patty formula. Use that formula and that'll guarantee you pretty much, if you can support it with your docs and stuff, that you are, giving yourself an opportunity to gain that point. But again, if you can't, you can't. Don't worry about that one. I mean, if you get 9 out of 10, that's still probably a 5, So just do the best you can. And again, I'll share this again, but this, when we're looking at the 45-minute crunch time, focus on these things first. You get those 6 points. That's not too bad. If you've got, some more time, go a little bit further with your documents and analyze some more, add some contextualization. And if you can get all your documents in there and you can somehow get that unicorn point and show some complexity there, then you're good, But you don't have to get all of that to get a 5. You don't, So don't stress. Again, if you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't quite get to that. That's okay. Submit what you got. And remember I said, if it looks like no kids had enough time to get that, they will adjust the rubric. They'll adjust the scores to reflect what was achievable with this. So again, they've never done this before either. And they know that they may have to adjust this. And I've seen them adjust rubrics and DBQs in the past and things that some tests, some years have been so difficult that the scores were terrible. And obviously it wasn't the students because they just, sometimes, you think you've written a good question and it's not, and so you don't know until the kids try to answer it and it, and you score it. So don't stress too much, but again, it's like a marathon or, we have to prepare ourselves for that. So I want us to try to write, full DBQs and try to squeeze it in 45 minutes, put a timer next to us and see if we can knock it out. Plus, the more you do that, the more you'll be used to that. And so it's not going to be like super stressful that day. And you're like, oh my God, this is, I got to do this. If you've been doing it for a while, like, okay, I know I start out by doing this. And then the next thing I'll do is I'll outline this. And then I'll look at this. And then, you should be okay. So.
Hey, Mr.
For the contextualization or the complex understanding, can you get that in your final paragraph conclusion?
I guess you probably can. You can put it anywhere you want to, but as long as you have to have supporting evidence for that, right? So, and that's why I say, you can even include it in your A and B paragraphs. If you're showing one thing, you can say, however, though, this document reflects this because, the point of view of the author was this, and the historical context was this, and their audience was this, and this shows the exact opposite of what we've been saying. This shows either something that was similar, or this is a change and not something that stayed the same. So I think you can kind of put it anywhere you want to. And again, that, it always makes it difficult for the grader. Even when I'm reading your stuff, I'm like, okay, where is this? Is this their outside evidence, or information? Is this their, complex understanding? It's easy because contextualization and thesis always in the first paragraph. Or though, you can put your thesis at the very end. You can say, so but I wouldn't do that. I mean, just as a grader and as a human, if I read your opening paragraph and I read your thesis, I know what I'm looking for. Set me up to know what you're thinking and what I need to be looking for. But you are welcome to put the thesis at the very end. But I wouldn't do that. Kids often identify it too. You can make a note. This is my thesis. This is my contextualization. You can do that. You can highlight it maybe and change color. That makes it easy on the grader. So that's fine. I do know that when we graded, free response questions for government, I'd always say, like, write number one, and sometimes there'd be an A, B, C, D, E, F, and that's a lot to answer. But I'm like, use the letters to make sure you've answered every single part of the question. However, if you put F, but what you put in F actually answers, C or something, if you didn't put F, you could count that, as a correct answer. But if you identify it as F and it's incorrect, I'm like, well, that's actually this answer up here, and because you identified it, you don't get credit for it. So, I mean, that doesn't really work here. You're like, well, this is my thesis, but it's really your contextualization. That's not going to, you're not going to see that. However, again, with outside information, again, I wish more people would be on our Zooms, but I know they can't always get on because I feel like we share a lot of good information in these sessions, things that I'm learning, and I keep writing in the feedback. Outside information. If you use it in your contextualization, you cannot use that. You can't double dip for your outside information. And again, if it's mentioned or if it's referred to or if it, is reflected in a document, it might not say the Proclamation of 1763, but it is from the Proclamation of 1763. If you say, oh, by the way, the Proclamation of 1763 was issued to prevent colonists from going west past the Appalachians, but it's referred to in the doc, basically, they won't give you credit for that. You got to go outside. So make sure your outside information is beyond your documents and beyond your contextualization. So sometimes that's why, not a bad idea to save your contextualization to last, because if you put some really good outside information in your contextualization and you're like, oh, I can't use that because I've already put it in my contextualization, you come up with your outside information first, write your DBQ, then go back and add to your contextualization and go, everything that you didn't mention for your outside information. That might be better. So.
Hey, Mr. Number, so I had a question.
Yeah.
So, since we only have 5 documents, do we have to do like a 5-paragraph essay? Can we have like just 2 bodies with the 2 groups of documents if there's no like outlier or anything?
Yep. Yeah, you don't need 5. There is no exact, setup for this. Even with the 7 doc, typically it's going to look like a 5-paragraph essay. But for this, yeah, I remember, I was saying for your thesis, do ABC, just do AB. You can't do ABC, really. There's not enough information there. And hopefully one of those documents is your X. You're going to be using that to support that other thing, the opposite of what you're kind of arguing. So, yes, I mean, really, I think ideally you'd have 4 maximum, I would think, if you get to your conclusion. If you don't get to, don't worry about the conclusion. You don't get points for it, but if you got time to kind of wrap it up and it's good for the grader to see that in case they're confused about something like, oh, okay, now I see once you've wrapped it all up in your conclusion, you're going to have your opening paragraph with your contextualization, and then you're going to have 2 really supporting paragraphs. I think two groupings of docs, and then somewhere in there, you would probably have your X. If not, you can add your X at the end, like you said, kind of in the conclusion. And that would be it, so.
Yeah, okay.
You're obviously not going to have enough. I mean, not having a lot to write, and I think that's why like, oh, you only need 45 minutes to write this. I'm like, well, it takes more than to think through this and really start putting it out on paper. But, again, maybe if we start practicing, you can get this rather succinctly, if you quickly group your docs and you're ready to analyze them. And remember, you only have to analyze 2. You don't have to analyze more than that. If you can analyze 3, maybe that's helpful because you may have not analyzed them correctly. Again, I'm seeing that every once in a while someone does a hippo analysis. I was grading something yesterday for somebody. I'm like, you know what? That it's a good try, but that's not exactly what they're saying here. They're saying this, and this person's point of view is actually this. It's a little bit different than what you wrote. So it's possible that your analysis may not be correct on a document. If you have time to analyze 3 docs, I would definitely try to do that. So, I mean, anything you can do more of, if you can give 3 pieces of outside information, that's even better, maybe, if you can't if one of them isn't quite correct. But I wouldn't go crazy, and you're not going to have time to do that anyway. Any other questions?
Can we print out our crash course notes for the exam?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, again, that's a lot to print out, but if you want to do that, you can. Again, what I'm going to do, hopefully in the next week or 2, is start, gathering resources and provide you guys with, like I said, pretty much hopefully a 1-pager for each period. Or maybe if it's a 1-pager, it's a double-sided page. So you have 3 through 7. So it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 5 periods we have to focus on. So, I mean, we don't know what that question is going to address, but if you have 5 to 10 pieces of paper in front of you, that's not too much, I think that's just enough. But if you print out all of your crash course guides, you are probably looking at, 20 or 30 pages of documents. And you can, paper clip them and go, okay, this is period 4, period 5 or whatever. And then when you see the DBQ, you're like, oh, this is just period 4. You just go right to it. So, I mean, I hate to make any kid print out anything and use ink and paper. And I never seem to have enough paper and ink here at my house for my kids to do it. But if you want to do that, that's absolutely fine. I would definitely recommend doing that. But again, I'm going to try and give you guys information that's very succinct, so you don't have to print out so much and it's all there. And I mean, these teachers that are experts they categorize it as like social, political, economic. They'll put things like that so you can see exactly what's going on in those periods for those particular topics. And then themes, because they talk about, thematics, but that's like those themes, democracy, so you'll see those things organized for the different periods. And so, we're blessed that teachers just like to share. They don't mind. They do all this hard work and like, here, use this. I'm like, okay, I'll take that from you and give it to my kids. So I will give you that too. But the more you have in front of you, I guess the better. Again, I would not rely on the internet. Don't think that, oh, I'll just, look this up or even accessing your Schoology page. I wouldn't do that. Just that's going to complicate things. Typically they say, keep that screen up wherever the prompt is and that timer is, keep that up the whole time. And you can minimize it, and slide it over to one side. And then on the other side, they recommend start writing your document there. Always, we've said this a million times, especially when you're crafting your thesis, go back and look at the prompt. Today I was giving some feedback. I'm like, this is a really good thesis, but I don't think it quite, it doesn't quite address the prompt. Make sure you understand what the prompt is asking and read your thesis again, look at that prompt and go, okay, am I, identifying political changes, or am I just talking about social changes? Make sure you're doing what they're asking you to do, because it's terrible to do all that and write it out. And then you look and you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't really answer the prompt. I did something different. So any other questions? All right. Well, I appreciate you guys zooming once again with me. It's like I have a Zoom crew, like the same kids keep showing up, and I really appreciate it. I can't say it enough. I appreciate how hard you guys are working. I know this is tough, and I know, like, again, as these weeks continue to go, it's getting harder. It's getting harder to sustain this, and I know I feel like maybe once we get to that test, we can breathe a sigh of relief. We're like, okay, all right, we did it. We got the marathon done, and then after the test, we'll do something that's not too taxing and hopefully enjoyable and fun and reflective. And but I just, I really miss being in the classroom with you guys, and I know you guys do too, and interacting with each other. And I wish things were different, but we're making the most of it. And it would be really nice if I had you guys in my class next year. If I do end up teaching a AP Gov, it'd be awesome to spend another year with you guys, a full year. So yeah. All right, well, if that's it, I'm going to end the session. And again, I appreciate you guys showing up. Friday, I'm not sure what we're going to do. I mean, I'll look back and maybe, look at some of these things that they're asking us to do, maybe even looking at this checklist and looking at our 5-doc DBQs. I feel like we really need to just practice with our 5-doc DBQs, trying to group those documents and seeing patterns and stuff, and trying to get within that time frame that does seem almost impossible to write a good essay, a DBQ, in 45 minutes. So. All right, well, have a good rest of the day and rest of the week. Get to those reviews when you can, and your DBQs. Again, I think I said too in my message, if you're getting behind, it's okay. It's okay. Don't freak out. Don't let it stress you out. It's nice just to let me know. Most of you guys are. A lot of people are like, hey, I just can't do this right now. I'm like, no, that's fine. That's fine. As long as I know that you're trying and you're good and you're healthy and you're safe, that's the most important thing. Do the best you can, but don't stress. If you get behind, I mean, honestly, if you feel like you can't do the reviews, it's taking too long, then don't do the reviews. The most important thing is the DBQ. And I was hoping that if you get the information from the review first, then you've got a better chance of knocking out a good DBQ. The DBQ practice right now is the number one thing. That is probably, out of all the assignments I give you per week, that last one, that DBQ, that's really what I want to see from you guys to show me if you're getting it or not, if you need extra help. So, okay. All right. Well, you guys take care. I'll probably see you Friday because you guys are my Zoom crew. So, okay. Bye.
All right, thanks, Mr. Amby.
Yep.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Freddie. Bye, Gavin. Bye, Isabella.